Alright, welcome. If you're new to the channel, my name's Elliott and you're watching Rickety Ski Reviews. Today, we're gonna be talking about the big problems that the ski industry is having. That's right, for the first time in the last 4 years, Vail Resorts stock has hit an all-time low, announcing that next season's pass sales are down. Now, I've been saying this for the last few months, the ski industry is in trouble. The COVID bubble for outdoor sports has popped, and we are starting to see the repercussions of that. After telling investors in December the company was expecting to net an estimated $912 million to $968 million in earnings before interest, taxes, depreciation, amortization, the company issued a release in January saying that the number will more likely be in the lower half of the guidance range. Lynch told investors as 2024 to 2025 pass product sales through May 28th have decreased approximately 5% in units from the prior year period due to the company's 8% price increase over last year's pass. However, sales dollars have increased approximately 1% compared to the prior year. So essentially what they're doing is, as the number of people is thinning down, they are tightening the screws to pass holders and making it more and more expensive. Lynch said that the reduction in lift ticket sales from the end of 2023 to 2024 and the decrease in pre-purchase passes for 2024 and 2025 are likely related. The single biggest impact in our spring pass sales is new pass holders, and that is driven by lift ticket guests, Lynch said. And the size of that audience is down significantly, which is impacting then our ability to convert them into new pass holders. So essentially what they're saying is, because ski tickets, and I'm not sure if you're not from the US, maybe you're not aware, US ski tickets have gone outrageous. The ski passes haven't changed too much, actually. They're still, depending on where you are. I was out in Vermont and I saw that Berk passes, if you buy them mid-year, are $1,100. Which is more than double what my season pass is out in Idaho, which is way better skiing. But anyway, season passes across the board generally, because of Epic and Icon, haven't grown that much. But ski tickets, like your daily ticket for people who are new or who are traveling from out of town, those have gotten outrageous. Those are so expensive. You're looking at Deer Valley $230 day tickets. I was even in Sun Valley and I spent almost $200 on a day ticket. It has just gotten completely outrageous. And I'm not sure exactly why they do that. If they're just well, you're traveling here anyway, what else are you gonna do? Even up at Mount Hood to go and ski the Timberline, it's easily over $100. And I love Timberline, but it's not that great. It's more of a commodity of hey, this is one of the only places you can ski in the summer. Where else are you gonna go? But this has been an industry trend that I've seen kind of coming a mile away, and it makes sense. Eventually, if you tighten the screws a little too tight and you make it impossible for people to try skiing, you're going to cut back on your pass sales long term. I mean, think about it. You eventually, how does anyone get into the sport? There's a reason that water parks and amusement parks, they have all those promotions. Oh, bring a can of Coca-Cola and we'll give you a free day ticket. They're trying to get people into it to see that they like it, so that one, they're return and repeat customers. Two, they spend money on other things. You've got the lodge, you've got gear in the shop, you've got demos, you've got food, you've got drinks. There's a lot of money wrapped around other things than just skiing. It just seems silly. Yes, of course your overall revenue is gonna suffer for your pass sales in the future if you never give anyone the opportunity to try skiing. That's something I talk about all the time. Skiing has gotten so expensive. I don't know how the ski industry expects newcomers to come and try it. And eventually you can only milk the really dedicated people so much before they'll push back or find an alternative. That's one of the reasons that you've seen such a rise in popularity for backcountry skiing, because it basically circumvents this whole system. So what's my big takeaway? I don't know. I don't feel sorry for Vail Resorts. I mean, obviously they still made an extra 1% profit over the year with less people, so they're still making their money somehow. But I think the more you rely on pass holders to carry that, and the less you allow people to get onto the ski lifts and just buy like a daily lift ticket, the more you're kind of shooting yourself in the foot. I think that hopefully this is a wake-up call for the ski industry to make skiing more accessible to newcomers. The problem is that we're expecting every single person to buy brand new skis, brand new boots, a full season pass, because it's a better value than the day ticket. But the honest truth is, like for me, when I do new sports, I don't want to dive right into it because you can only have so many hobbies. I used to have a kayak, I used to whitewater kayak, but I've got a mountain bike, I've got skis, I've got all this different stuff. You can only have so many hobbies. So this delusion that like, well, people know they love skiing and we don't need to cultivate, future sales is so silly. It's a large part of why my local nonprofit mountain has such affordable kid tickets, because I think they know that to ensure long-term health of the sport and long-term health of season pass sales, we need to make sure that like kids can do this young and they can understand how to do it, and you can foster a young group of skiers to become future pass holders. And I think that it's similar to what I was talking about with the ski industry with ski makers. These people have gotten so greedy. They saw such a big boom during the COVID bubble that I don't know, I'm happy to see them kind of reeling some of this back because it's gone ridiculous. Hopefully this is a wake-up call for Vail Resorts, but I would love to know what you guys think. I don't have to deal with Vail. I don't have to deal with Epic or Icon. I live in Boise, Idaho, where I have a local nonprofit ski hill where day tickets and ski passes are really affordable. In fact, when I went to Sun Valley, if I had been there for 2 days, it would have been more than my season pass. I want to say it was like $230, and my season pass at Bogus Basin is $450. So all I had to do was go 2 days to Sun Valley, and I would have paid more than a season pass. But I would love to know, for you guys that deal with Epic and Icon, what's your takeaway from this? Is this matching what you're seeing on the hill? And before I go into the next segment, if you like this kind of content, please consider liking and subscribing. I am one of the few YouTube channels out there in the ski circle, I guess, that isn't sponsored. I'm not paid by anyone. I'm not sponsored by anyone. I'm just here giving you my honest opinions. I've seen some other takes on this from people who either are silent on it because they are tied to Epic and Icon, or because they have a sponsorship with a mountain that is on Epic and Icon. I've got no affiliation with either of those places, so I'm talking to you honestly. And if you want to support that, please, a free way to do that is liking and subscribing. You can also become a member, but just wanted to get that out of the way because I always forget it. All right, on the flip side, we have J Peak, just north of my home mountain where I grew up in Burke, Vermont. Burke and Jay actually used to have a season pass carryover, so we would do all of our spring skiing because J Peak stayed open longer. So I have skied a ton at J Peak. Just between racing, it would be open earlier than Burke, so we would go there in the early season. It would be open later, so I went and did a ton of spring skiing on their tram there. So very familiar with J Peak. Also, I saw Ski Essentials Top 5 Friday video, and I want to say I had a document where I emailed myself the 15th, 8 days ago, with these stories, and it just so happens that Ski Essentials included both of them. So I guess I'm covering some of what Ski Essentials did, but it wasn't on purpose, okay? And you can go check them out. They've got a great video. I will say they always are they're much more diplomatic than I am. I tend to be a little bit more like, stir the pot, I'm gonna talk about this anyway, just because I'm not really affiliated with anyone, but that's not a dig to them. If anything, I respect that they're more diplomatic. It's probably a lot easier. They probably have a lot easier time emailing people and getting people to pick up the phone than I do. But you know what? I don't know. That's the only way I know how to be, and that's 100% honest. So anyway, let's talk about J Peak now, on the opposite side of Vail Resorts. J Peak announced an initiative to freeze or reduce pricing on all lift ticket window rates and Mission affordable 4-pack for the 2024-2025 winter season. The resort says this is a direct response to the inflationary environment across the U.S. economy over the past several years, which has affected guests and resort alike. As everyone tries to navigate a challenging economy while still engaging with the sports and brands they love, the initiative extends beyond lift ticket pricing to new everyday low price menu options, new ski and ride school programming, golf rounds, and more. The list of cost freezes and reductions will grow throughout the summer, and additional initiatives will be announced. So if I'm reading this right, it looks like it's primarily around day tickets and multiple packs of tickets. and just finding ways, like entryways to the mountain, to be more affordable. A lot of people, you might not believe this, but like if you have one of those passes where like, I don't know how J-Peak works, where you have golfing, you're like, oh, I already have a golf pass, another $100 and I get a ski pass. They want to, basically it looks like they're trying to clear the runway for people who are beginner to intermediate skiers to like come check out how great Jay is and, you know, get introduced and become season pass members down the line, or just regular customers. J-Peak is in an interesting spot because it's out there. You really have to travel out of your way to get there. Unless you're coming down from Montreal, maybe, I'm sure they have a lot of French Canadian guests, but as someone who grew up near Jay, I understand the challenges they have. They have to get people in the door to realize how good it is. It's the same for Burke. Burke Mountain, honestly, is probably one of the best Vermont ski areas behind Stowe and Jay, but it struggles to get people there in the first place, so I can see why a northern mountain like J-Peak would take this initiative. They also, I can't see the stats that they have behind them, but I'm sure they saw something this past season that spooked them. I'm sure they measure, okay, do we have new users? How many of these people are repeat customers? What's the average age of our guests? And they must have seen something that spooked them, because this is pretty drastic. You know, some people might do a freeze where they don't do anything, but for some of these like areas, they're straight up lowering the costs. I watched Ski Essentials Top 5 Friday, and they were talking about how that area doesn't tend to have a ton of income. I mean, that's just in general in Vermont. A lot of the local populations, there's not a ton of high-paying jobs in that area. So you're really relying on tourism. But throughout the year, like the people that spend money in those hotels, J-Peak is an interesting, I could talk about J-Peak and Burke for a long time. They were part of essentially a Ponzi scheme where the owner owned J-Peak and Burke and was moving money around from foreign investors. Anyway, it was then bought by the state of Vermont, and I believe J-Peak was sold out, and I'm not sure if Burke has been sold yet, but they got kind of washed clean. But inside of that Ponzi scheme, they got a ton of infrastructure. Like they both got giant hotels put in. J-Peak has a giant water park inside. So you gotta get people in there to like cover the operating costs of that stuff. So I think that this is really smart. I think that you have to find a way to keep people coming all the like year round, and you can't just rely on tourism. Vermont is a huge tourism state. The economy is driven by tourism, but you can't completely rely on winter, because if you have one bad winter, that's not going to cover all of your costs throughout the year. So one thing like Burke did is they've got mountain biking, and mountain biking actually brings in more money than skiing. It's primarily a bike area with Kingdom Trails and people coming in from all over to go bike those trails. Again, like I'm from that area, so I know people who have local businesses there, and a lot of their operation now is during bike season in the fall. Like obviously you make a lot of money when tourists come in, but you have to still like pad that out with locals actually having things that they can do. And I'm sure J-Peak saw something where they go, okay, we don't have younger skiers coming in on the tickets, we don't have new skiers coming in on the day tickets, and we're not getting locals here. We need to do something to keep this sustainable. So I applaud J-Peak for making that change. It's certainly not something I see Vail Resorts doing until they're absolutely forced to, but it is a nice to see like, hey, we've gone too far. We've made this too unaffordable for our local population, and we're gonna dial it back. It's a little trivial because it's like, okay, day tickets 4-pack, and like I think I saw something like some of the food is gonna be cheaper. You know, that's not as meaningful, but at least it's something. It's also nice to have my conspiracy theories confirmed, because I've been saying for months and months, ski inventory is not moving. There's a huge lack of interest compared to previous years. I think that everyone during that COVID bubble bought ski passes, bought ski gear, and either are keeping their gear and not buying more, or are kind of slowing down. And it's interesting to see that reflected in the ski passes. And I think that these ski mountains got ahead of themselves, prioritizing the season passes, prioritizing those big sales, rather than focusing on how do we get people here initially. Both the season pass and the day ticket are crucial to the economic health of any ski hill. I'll be interested to see if other mountains follow. I mean, Vail and Icon pretty much blanket most of the US, but I'm really fascinated to see how those two follow suit and how some of the smaller independent mountains follow. And you know, if Peak is seeing something that everyone else is and they're just reacting faster, we will have to see in the future. But it's very interesting to see both these releases, and it echoes a lot of what I said in the Icelandic and Moment interview with Blister. I don't know, some of these companies got so greedy that they didn't think about the long-term health of the sport. So anyway, that's the end of this video. I would love to hear your thoughts, especially if you're from J or the Vail area, or a mountain owned by Vail on the Epic Pass system. I've luckily been kind of insulated from it. I still have family that lives in ski areas that are either Epic or Icon. But more than anything, I just want to hear what you have to say. How does this affect you? What have you seen with day tickets? I personally, at my home mountain, are seeing a lot more season pass holders than day tickets. But, you know, that's a very small sample size. So please, in the comments down below, let me know what you think. As always, thanks for being here. If you like this kind of content, please consider liking and subscribing. It's a free way to support this channel. You can also become a member. You get a bunch of perks. You get to see videos early. But more importantly, thanks for being here. Thanks for watching. And as always, I'll see you in the next one. See ya.